and welcome. Tonight, investigate how state government spends $1.5 billion loan from the World Bank, as well as the federal government's $3.1 billion Chinese loan. And that's coming from the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, to President Bala. Gunmen suspected to be bandits killed 4 soldiers in an ambush in Gudu, local government area of Enugu State. Nigerian Air Force destroys 13 illegal refining sites and 10 overhead tanks along the Imo River as part of efforts to curtail activities of oil thieves and economic saboteurs. And the Olympic flame is extinguished as weeks of intense competition among 205 delegates in the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games draws to a close. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, is asking President Bola Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC, to investigate the spending of $1.5 billion World Bank loan obtained by the states, 36 of them, and Abuja, for poverty eradication and social protection. In an open letter signed by its Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, SERAP is also advising the President to direct the Justice Minister and anti-corruption agencies to promptly investigate the alleged mismanagement of the Chinese loans of $3.121 billion obtained by the federal government. The letter reads in part, investigating and prosecuting allegations of corruption and mismanagement in the spending of World Bank loans and Chinese loans will be entirely consistent with the Nigerian Constitution and the country's international anti-corruption obligations. End of quote. SERAP maintains that the impunity for corruption in the management of World Bank and Chinese loans will continue as long as high-ranking public officials go largely unpunished for their alleged crimes. We head to Kano State, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, and the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission have identified civil servants as vital players in the fight against corruption. And this was disclosed during a capacity-building workshop organized for directors in the state and the civil service. Our correspondent, Sadiq Iliasu, reports.
After identifying the role of civil servants in multiple cases of corruption in Kano, the State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission is organizing a capacity building for civil servants on directorate cadre. According to the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offences Commission, 80% of corruption cases are found in the procurement process, where funds are outrageously inflated to over 300%.
Sentence number 1. Corruption in Nigeria is 80% procurement-based. For now, we know the profit margin is 30 to 35%. But you see contracts being awarded at 200, 300%, the actual amount.
I don't think a local government chairman just elected knows how to cook the books. All these things will not be possible without the connivance of the public servants, the civil servants, so to say.
The state government laments the impact of corruption on the provision of basic social amenities.
The water resources sector was in decay when we took over, resulting to untold hardship, even with the loan of €6 million purportedly spent in that sector. Education also suffered serious setback due to nepotism and monumental corruption.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission reveals how monies are siphoned through civil servants' account in the state.
We often find a situation whereby civil servants are often coerced to do certain things that are against the law, and they are caught in the middle of corrupt practices. And almost all the grand corruption cases we have investigated in Kano today, civil servants are virtually an ingredient, or they rather become a tool in the hand of those corrupt elements who are mostly at the very high level position.
The workshop highlights the crucial role of civil servants in the fight against corruption in Kano State. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
And to security matters still, gunmen suspected to be bandits have killed 4 soldiers in an ambush laid against troops of the Nigerian army in Gudu local government area of Sokoto State. The member representing Gudu at the State House of Assembly, Yahya Gudu, who confirmed the attack, says the assailants also burnt down 2 patrol vehicles of the operatives. Eyewitnesses say relative normalcy has returned to the area after the deployment of additional security personnel as a result of the incident, but neither the police nor the Nigerian army have officially confirmed that incident. Meanwhile, as part of efforts to curtail the activities of oil thieves and economic saboteurs in the Niger Delta region, the Nigerian Air Force has announced the destruction of 13 illegal refining sites and 10 overhead tanks. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information of the Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Edward Bakwet, says the operation conducted along the Imo River near Obuzo and Okoloma, several active illegal refining sites were discovered to be taking advantage of the difficult terrain to perpetrate their illegalities. The statement adds that the Nigerian Air Force destroyed 13 sites after the crew deployed the weapon on board the aircraft. 10 overhead tanks connected to the reservoirs, as well as numerous gallons, were destroyed in the process. The statement further adds that while the crew extended their patrol downstream, they spotted a 6-tire tipper truck along the riverbank with 4 canoes seen loading oil products into the truck, and after a thorough scan of the area, the criminals dispersed upon sighting the aircraft. The truck, as well as the canoes, were all attacked and destroyed. Some repentant terrorists have been recounting their experiences with insurgents and the intermittent desire to return to the bush owing to the level of indoctrination they received as Boko Haram members. Well, some of the women spoke at the de-radicalization program organized by Al-Amin Foundation for Peace and Development in collaboration with the Borno State government in Maiduguri. About 200,000 Boko Haram insurgents, including fighters, family members and minors, have so far surrendered to the government since July 2021. This follows the death and split of the old group into ISWAP and Boko Haram and other smaller groups in the Sambisa, Mandara Mountains and the Lake Chad region.
Yeah, it should be.
Some of the former insurgents surrendered willingly to the troops of the Nigerian army. Others were rescued during military operations, while some escaped the camps. In response to the mass surrender, government initiated a program to ensure smooth reintegration of the former insurgents back to the society. This idea birthed what is known as the Borno Model Reintegration. The Special Advisor on Security to the Governor, who doubles as the Executive Secretary Borno Security Task Force, and the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development speak on the rehabilitation and reintegration program of the government.
What we have that were integrated to the community are low risk and minor. You need to see some of these boys. Some of them were 6 years, 7 years when they were conscripted. And they are the ones that were actually reintegrated back to community. But the fighters are still with us, the fighter. And one interesting thing about this issue is that over 95% of the die-hard Boko Haram were killed as a result of military action and also infighting among themselves.
At the occasion of the reintegration of a batch of 30 women who have undergone de-radicalization processes by Al-Amin Foundation for Peace and Development in Maiduguri, were well-wishers from representatives of security agencies, civil society groups, religious organizations, and stakeholders. 2 women, wives of late fighters of Shekau, speak on their experiences.
The repentance that are being celebrated is not genuine. Some of them had to surrender because it was the only option left. They still hold dear to their belief. Community people were forced to accept them, and they did it.
Yara kanana yanda ake hukunci da sauransu babu wanda bata sani. Daji kafin shi ya shiga suka kira shi a lokacin ne na shiga daji.
I was living in Kano while my husband was a teacher under Mohammed Yusuf, the founder of Boko Haram. We had 3 children. Then, his colleague and him ran to the bush when the search for them became intense by civilian joint task force. It was the death and subsequent split of the Boko Haram that led to the in-house fighting that made me escape.
So far, 90 women and minors have been reintegrated by the foundation, while several others are undergoing rehabilitation and de-radicalization process, after which they will be reintegrated into the society. From security to politics, members of the All Progressives Congress, the APC in Ebonyi State, have criticized Governor Bala Mohammed for his recent comments about President Bola Tinubu, arguing that he is also implementing poor policies in the state. The APC members voiced their concerns during the flag-off of the local government council election campaign, which is set to take place on August the 17th. The party also welcomed defectors from the People's Democratic Party during the ceremony.
The All Progressives Congress in Ebonyi State is gearing up for the local government election in the state. The party holds a rally at the state secretariat to launch its campaign for the exercise. The party received some defectors from other parties, including the ruling party in the state, the People's Democratic Party. Addressing party supporters in Hausa, the state chairman urged the electorate to vote for the APC.
We urge you to cast your ballots, guide your vote, and wait for the announcement.
The senator representing Bauchi South District, Senator Shehu Buba, is confident that the party has high prospects in the state as he provides a response to Governor Bala Mohammed's recent remarks about President Bola Tinubu.
It is the PDP's government that brought poverty in the states, despite the interventions from the federal government. I can tell you, from 2023 to 2024, Bauchi State government received over 144 billion from federal government allocations. But look at the situation in Bauchi. From January 2020 to date, state government received over 47 billion from FAC. Where is the money? Where is the project?
There is also the concern about the capacity of the State Electoral Commission to ensure a free and fair election.
We have seen what they have done in the past. We have seen a situation where election is ongoing and the state INEC is declaring. This time around, we will not agree to that, and we are watching them. We know the rules, we are all abiding, and we are going to follow the rules step by step to ensure that we get our rights.
Going by the records, going by the caliber of people, even on this ground today, you can testify that yes, we have all it takes to win the election.
The candidates for the chairmanship positions were presented with the flags, including a female candidate who is also a former State Assembly member. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is optimistic to win the Edo governorship election. Plus, Governor Peter Mba partners German government to foster economic development in areas of agriculture, energy, trade, and investment. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you on Channels Television live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Investigate how state government spent $1.5 billion loan from the World Bank, as well as the federal government's $3.1 billion Chinese loan. And that's coming from the SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, to President Bola Tinubu. Gunmen suspected to be bandits kill 4 soldiers in an ambush in Gudu local government area of Sokoto State. Nigerian Air Force destroys 13 illegal refining sites and 10 overhead tanks along the Imo River as part of efforts to curtail activities of oil thieves and economic saboteurs. And the Olympic flame is extinguished as weeks of intense competition among 205 delegations at the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games draws to a close. Let's continue with politics. The national leadership of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, says the exit of some of its prominent members in Enugu State will not affect its fortunes in the forthcoming governorship election in the state. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Debo Ologunagba, stated this at a news conference in Abuja, maintaining that the PDP remains unshakable owing to the pedigree of its governorship candidate in the September election. The PDP spokesperson describes comments on its candidate by some members of the APC as a failed attempt to discredit its candidate.
Because you don't win now, that does not mean the party should die. And so that must be emphasized. So when people don't win a primary election or any election and they said we're leaving the party, I don't think a party should be blackmailed to begin to say, oh yes, they are important, because not one man is a party. It's about people's view. And in the people's view, it's in your interest to stay in so that you can achieve your own aspiration and objective. So, in Edo State, irrespective of what you consider now, because of the candidate that we have, Asue is savvy, he's compliant, is Asue Igudalo, O2, that is oxygen. Okpebolo is carbon dioxide. That's why we can't see. So when Oshomole was struggling and stuttering and stammering on TV, he did not understand these facts. So we understand. The only reason they're doing that is that they're confused. They have unsellable candidates. They have a man who has no capacity. The man who is afraid of you. And these are the people he should be responsible to, because through you he can sell himself and his program, if any. And I wonder what APC can sell anyway in Nigeria today.
In the last 100 hours, improving security cooperation among members of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has been top of the mind of Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. In an earlier strategic meeting with the defense chiefs of West Africa, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, had promoted deepening partnership and intelligence sharing among member states. So tonight, Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more insights about the challenges and, of course, the opportunities ahead for ECOWAS. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the News at 10. Now, just last month, if we recall, Mali, Burkina Faso, and even Niger Republic all renewed their anti-ECOWAS stance. They were also absent from the ECOWAS meeting of the defense chiefs. Is this a game of chess, and who has the advantage here?
No, it's hard to know if this is a game of chess or Ludo or Ayu, but clearly it's a game that one of the players has refused to come to the game. And we'll go a bit deeper into that later. But, you know, there's a difference between the sound made from an echo and the sound made from an ECOWAS. And I want you to keep in mind what I've just said, the difference between the sound made from an echo and the sound made from an ECOWAS. And I'll explain that in a bit later. But again, let's start the way we normally will start. There's some good and some bad news. Now, what's the good news? The good news is this week, we've seen at the defense chiefs meeting, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, showed a lot of leadership, especially looking at how the country wants to live, which is Nigeria, how we want to take a leading position in the implementation of the ECOWAS standby force. This is important because within the ECOWAS region, we have 100 million families. The ECOWAS region hosts more families than the population of the United States and United Kingdom combined. So the ECOWAS bloc is a largely populated area. And yes, the good news is Nigeria dominates the economy of ECOWAS. Based on the World Bank's figures, ECOWAS has an output, a gross domestic product output of $675 billion. That's ECOWAS. However, more than half of this is from Nigeria. So in simple terms, Anne, Nigeria holds ECOWAS by the throat. Good news. Now, the bad news, and listen carefully to this. The bad news is Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have formed a different bloc. They call that the Alliance of Sahel States. Why is this important? Let's take a look at how important and the significance of these three countries to ECOWAS. We see that the combined land area of the region we call ECOWAS, 5.1 million square kilometers. However, these three countries that have threatened to pull out of ECOWAS, absent from this meeting, talking about Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, these three countries that have formed a new group called the Alliance of Sahel States. Their land area represents more than half of all of ECOWAS. So in simple terms, if Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso pull out of ECOWAS, that is more than half of ECOWAS gone. And so what is really left is an echo. In simple terms, again, listen carefully to this. Nigeria holds the economy of ECOWAS, also because of the World Bank's figures and statistics that shows that half of what we call ECOWAS based on economic output still resides in Nigeria. But again, the World Bank is also warning that ECOWAS, Niger, these three countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, account for more than half of all the land area that we call West Africa. So some good news and some bad news.
But how can terrorism be reduced in Africa? And when you even ask the question, are member countries even aligned to ensure this happens?
You know, terrorism in Africa, it depends on we looking at the how and the where. And by how is to look at the data, where are the most terrorized countries in Africa, and the when is to look at what exactly can be done to reduce this. And if we take a look at the most terrorized countries in West Africa, looking at how the Global Terrorism Index has rated West African countries, again, you'll find these three countries in the top 5. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. And so clearly we understand that if we want to improve security across the ECOWAS region, we cannot do that without involving Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Here's why this is important. Let's take a look at Burkina Faso, currently on the top of the rank of the most terrorized countries in Africa. They share borders with Togo, Benue, and Ghana. Now let's take a look at the corruption challenge across all of West Africa. What we see is corruption still plays a big role in West Africa. And so, with so much corruption in Africa, it affects, especially in West Africa, it affects quality of governance. And when quality of governance is affected, it affects the stability of these countries. And when the stability of these countries is affected, it affects security. And so, yes, we've seen the Chief of Defense Staff talk about why it is necessary to have a standby force and all the plans that are being put in place. We need to understand that at the end of it all, the root still is quality of governance. If you don't get good quality of governance, and you can't get good quality of governance if corruption still plays a major role in countries.
So if you have said corruption is playing a major role in governance in Africa, what should the next big move be for ECOWAS then?
So clearly the data has pointed out the solutions to us. First, we've seen that Nigeria plays the leading role when it comes to the economy. When it comes to the significance of that bloc, it's still Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So what we need to do is Nigeria has to find a way to add more economic value to these three countries. Again, Nigeria has to find a way to add more economic value to the trio of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. And yes, even though it is difficult, we understand that, Anne, if you are not my friend and I want to be your friend, then I need to make friends with your friend. And so, yes, at the moment, it's hard to get into the hearts and minds of the leaders in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. And so one strategy that is recommended is for us to make friends to their friends. Again, let's not forget, and let's take a look at what one of the ways the Nigerian Armed Forces says they want to improve regional collaboration is they are saying that the number one question, which no one in the room could answer, is How can we win if we do not collaborate? In simple terms, Anne, if we fail to collaborate, we shall all perish.
So it means the big word here is collaboration and partnership.
It's collaboration and partnership. And again, if you're not my friend and I want to be your friend, I need to make friends with your friends. And that is the way the government needs to look at it.
All right. Thank you very much. Babajide Ogunso, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst. Thanks a lot for your time.
The pleasure is all mine.
On the News at 10. Let's head to Enugu State now, where Mr. Peter Mba, who's the governor, has reiterated his administration's commitment to work with the German government to strengthen economic cooperation, especially in areas of agriculture, energy, trade, and investment. He was speaking when he met with the German Consul General, Mr. Wiert Borner, who led a delegation of the German business community in Nigeria and the Corporation for International Cooperation on the working visit to Enugu State. In his response, the Consul General says the consulate is ready to play its part in ensuring a smooth cooperation between Enugu and the German government.
We are, ready, and as we always say in Enugu, Enugu is ready and open for business. We're glad we see. I agree with you 100% that the growth of the economy of this nation is not going to come from the top. Bottom. I don't think that's the way to go. I've always been an ardent advocate that growth would come from the peripheral. It's going to come from the bottom top. And so this is why this engagement, for me, it's a very strategic one, and it's coming at the right time. And I can assure you, you would not have chosen a better state to work with, because we're going to give you our all. We're also going to be transparent, working with you along the way. What you're going to see is complete honesty, transparency, accountability in all we do. That's our governing philosophy, and it's our mantra.
The three southern states we want to concentrate more on are Ogun State, Abia State, and Enugu State. So therefore, I'm here not just to get to know more about Enugu State, but to get our bilateral cooperation growing. And therefore, it also makes sense to have these partners, both partly state-funded, partly private. I mean, Siemens Energy is a private company, so don't worry. It's that we improve our cooperation.
And still ahead on the News at 10, the world's most glamorous sporting event, the Olympics, draws to a close, marking the end of weeks of fierce competition, victories and disappointments. Please stay with us. Back. As part of efforts to address the energy gap in Nigeria, the federal government says it is reaffirming its commitment to harness and utilize renewable energy with the establishment of a renewable energy college to provide new skills for exploration of various aspects of the energy sector and help mitigate the effects of climate change. Speaking in Kogi State, the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Mr. Uche Nnaji, says the federal government is determined to address the manpower gap in the energy sector.
It's the groundbreaking ceremony of the first barefoot renewable energy college of the Confluence University of Science and Technology in Kogi State. Top federal and state government functionaries and industry players converged on the premises for the event. The arrival of the host governor, Mr. Usman Ododo, signifies the commencement of the event as it kicks off with the Chief Executive Officer of the Energy Commission of Nigeria, highlighting the challenges.
The Barefoot Renewable Energy Academy aims to bridge the energy manpower gap, driving innovation and competence in the renewable energy sector. Together, we are paving the way for a brighter and greener future.
The Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Uche Nnaji, speaks on the need to transform the sector.
To achieve our mandate, the ministry, through the Energy Commission of Nigeria and an agency for the strategic planning and coordination of national policies in the field of energy, in line with the renewed hope agenda of our dear President, Senator Bala Tinubu, GCFR, is establishing a renewable energy college and academy in Kogi State.
Governor Usman Ododo reaffirms his commitment to the success of the program.
As the chief servant of the Conference of Opportunity, I pledge the commitment of our administration to the success of this project. It is a big leap forward in our national renewable energy mission as a nation.
The governor then leads the procession for the groundbreaking. The Barefoot Renewable Energy College, domiciled in the Confluence University of Science and Technology, or SARA, Kogi State, is the first of its kind in the country and is aimed at providing clean energy for Kogi State and the nation at large.
And in Edo State, the governor, Godwin Obaseki, says that most of the ongoing road projects inside the state capital, Benin City, are being designed to improve the traffic situation. Mr. Obaseki, who stated this after inspecting some reconstruction work in the state capital, explains that the road improvement projects in the metropolis are factored in the drainage issues, which have been a major challenge in the rehabilitation of the roads.
Without drainage, you cannot build roads that will last. So most of the drainage has not been completed. As you can see, these are secondary drains, draining water into the main master drain that's taking water to Ogba River. Now that the drainage work has been completed, I've come to see what the contractor is doing about now rebuilding the roads. So this is the Willow Road, which is going to be rebuilt from Siloko back through to Willow Market to now connect power line and the work that's been done along Gadolo. This is all part of our efforts to make sure that we make our internal roads motorable and get traffic moving around the city. We're trying to have what we call internal bypasses to take traffic from the traffic coming in from the Lagos axis and Benin, the Ugbo axis, to throw that traffic into Siloko and then onto Ekema Road. So that's going to be like the western bypass, the kind of a mini bypass to just get traffic to move around the city.
From Edo, let's head to Kaduna State, where as part of efforts to cushion the economic hardship being experienced in the country, the senator representing Kaduna South Senatorial District, Sunday Marshall, has launched a social welfare intervention program with the disbursement of 100 million naira to indigent constituents across the 87 electoral wards of the senatorial district. Speaking at the event, the senator, who was represented by the former commissioner for local governments in Kaduna State, Yohana Al-Magani, says the welfare intervention program is aimed at enhancing the livelihood of the people, especially the vulnerable in the society who are the worst hit by the hardship.
Mitigating the effects of economic hardship in Nigeria is a reason for this initiative, which involves the distribution of cash and palliatives to over 400 artisans and youths in southern Kaduna. The beneficiaries are selected from across the 87 wards of the senatorial zone, and the aim is to uplift women and youth entrepreneurs.
We are beginning with 400 beneficiaries, each carefully selected across the 87 political wards within our senatorial district. This pilot program scheme will see 20 beneficiaries from each local government receiving 100,000 each, and 30 beneficiaries from each local government receiving 50,000 each.
The empowerment program, which cuts across religious and political party affiliations, has been described by the beneficiaries as first of its kind in the history of southern Kaduna, and one which other public office holders must emulate for the peace and stability of the region.
I've never heard or seen past senators embarking on a program like this very one. For me, and for many of you here, what our distinguished senator is doing now is a challenge. He has challenged many of us who have hold offices, many of us who are aspiring to be political office holders.
I'm not the only person from APs that benefit from this. We are many. Out of these 400, we are almost 50 or 60 beneficiaries from the other side. So I believe he's a very good person, and I am very, very happy.
The youth intervention program has been tailored to run on a sustainable basis annually, with the aim of promoting economic growth and enhancing the livelihoods of constituents of Southern Kaduna.
The governor of Yobe State, Mai Malabuni, has deployed a team of researchers to find the root cause of kidney failure that is claiming several lives in the northern part of the state. The team of researchers from the United Kingdom, in partnership with the newly established Biomedical Science Research and Training Center of the Yobe State University and the Federal University Gashel, are to undertake thorough investigation of the event over the next 5 decades.
Increasing cases of kidney disease in northern Yobe have become alarming, forcing the government to provide short-term plan of free dialysis to patients monthly. In its quest to provide long-term plan, Governor Mai Malabuni has dispatched a team of researchers from the United Kingdom that will commence investigations into the root cause of the disease in the northern part of the state.
This particular problem has been with us for a very long time. Commence all activities towards deploying an investigation towards establishing what the cause of this problem is.
Some healthcare experts in the state, familiar with the disease, speak on the preliminary investigations carried out.
From the investigation, we were able to see that there are hotspots, especially this community, Jakusko and Bede local government. We have a lot of people coming from those one. In Borno State, we've got a contrary one in southern part of Borno, in Askira Uba, as well as Haul local government, which is a rocky terrain. We also found hotspots in Hadejia.
The preliminary studies reveal that we have traces of lead, cadmium, and other heavy metals in the water and in some of the vegetables, grown here. And you see, most of these vegetables, they are not even processed. They are taken without being processed. Take, for instance, cabbage and then fruits.
The Emir of Bade, while appreciating the government for the efforts, pledged to cooperate with the team.
Whatever PAN once does, research is very important. It's the one that will give you a result, an authentic result in whatever you want to do. So I want you to conduct your research. We are fully behind you. We'll give you whatever support that you need.
The residents are looking forward to when the root cause of the disease will be unraveled and with subsequent recommendations for its cure.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, has intercepted multi-billion naira worth of cocaine concealed in heavy-duty automobile pivot shafts and Ghanaian fabric called kente in the nationwide intelligence-led operation by officers of the agency. In a statement signed by the head of media and advocacy of the agency, Mr. Femi Babafemi, 2.3 kilograms of cocaine sealed in the Ghanaian traditional fabric going to the United Kingdom were intercepted at the courier firm in Lagos on Monday, August 5th, while 10.4 kilograms of the same class of drug buried in heavy-duty pivot shafts heading for the United States were recovered at the same logistics company after the NDLEA sniffer dogs fished out the automobile's parts containing the drug. The statement adds, the 5 other consignments made up of 517 grams of cocaine concealed in clothing materials, different quantities of pentazoxine injection, promethazine injection, and cocodamol pills all heading to the United Kingdom, as well as 297 pills of tramadol, 225 milligrams going to Canada, were also intercepted at the courier firm in Lagos on Friday, August 9th, 2024. In Adamawa State, the NDLEA operatives on Thursday, August 8th, with the support of men of the Operation Farauta Sector 3, Maya Belwa equally arrested 49-year-old Joseph Peter with 425 compressed blocks of cannabis sativa weighing 291.2 kilograms in his Toyota Camry car marked Lagos KSF 381, where he claimed he was transporting from Edo State to deliver in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. And now to the arts. Bold blossoms in a group exhibition by different female artists at Art Gallery Pantheon Gallery right here in Lagos. Well, the artists showcased interesting paintings and installations that touch on several issues. This is a dynamic showcase of the visionary paintings and installations created by 5 artists in an enchanting collection celebrating the connection between nature and creativity.
One of the things that I've been really grateful for us to be able to see is to be able to see our artists be able to step out of what is expected of them, and exploring mediums like Anefa Adams, infusing poetry and the intergenerational history in our work, almost like a documentation in our body of work. And to Abisola, who is also showcasing a personality of her as Olivia, as a body of work, and being able to do this watercolor realism as a body of work. And Sinatra, to be able to see these colorful art pieces that comes out right of our fingers, out of our minds, to be able to show us a canvas filled with modernism and tradition. And this is just the blend that we look forward to as a gallery.
Some new concepts were already being explored in their studios prior to this time. So for one of the exhibiting artists, Hanifa Adam, this exhibition is apt.
In 2021, I created a film, Making the Mold, about the industrious women and girls of Dada pottery in Ilorin. So when the opportunity for this exhibition came up, I tied to the title of the exhibition, Bold Blossoms, to introduce, floral embroidery into the watercolor paintings. And it also features broken pots and other elements of mixed media, especially with the flowers as the installation behind me. It's just to tie everything together to talk about how, even in the unlikely places, women that exhibit like strength and resilience can bloom from wherever they are.
Each artist brings forth a distinctive narrative to explore and interpret the boundless beauty of flora through the lens of their botanical inspiration.
The title of the works are actually their names. These are portraits of the girls and women from Dada Pottery, Ilorin in Nigeria, and it's just a celebration of their craft, of their talent, and their incredible strength. So this is just a way of celebrating them.
Bold Blossoms, an all-female exhibition, took place at the Art Pantheon Gallery in Lagos. Meanwhile, Nigeria's D-Tigers' incredible run at Paris Olympics did not go unnoticed as coach Rena Wakama has been named the best coach of Paris 2024 women's basketball. The 32-year-old masterminded an incredible Nigerian run at the Games, leading Nigeria to become the first African country to qualify for the quarterfinals, where they lost to the United States. Still outside our shores, China's relations with Nigeria continues to grow with various exchange programs and organized trips to the Asian country. Well, our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, just returned from one of such visits to the country and now reports.
The impression that many people have of China is that it is a closed society, policed by the government, and a place where citizens are unable to freely express themselves. But arriving in the country, one immediately is impressed by the existence of all indicators of a developed society, where people and businesses thrive, and a country rich in culture and heritage. Another impression is the number of people in China. Its 1.4 billion population is spread across the country, but because much of the focus is on the capital, Beijing, other parts are often ignored. China boasts of one of the wonders of the world we live in, the Great Wall, built across the historical northern borders of ancient Chinese states. It was Imperial China's protection against various nomadic groups from the Eurasian steppe. A visit to Guangzhou in Guangdong is where you'll find the largest population of Africans, many of whom are here for business and trade. A visit to the port in Guangzhou showed us it ranks 6th in the country and already runs partnerships with the Lekki deep sea port. China's hospitality is also shown through the amazing food and various tourist attractions visited by mainly the Chinese people themselves, many of whom are taking advantage of the summer holidays to spend valuable time with family. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Ukrainian troops have advanced up to 30 kilometers inside Russia in what has become the deepest and most significant incursion since Moscow began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Russian Defense Ministry says that its forces had engaged Ukrainian troops near the villages of Tolpino and Obaseki, Kolodez, as the offensive in the Kursk region entered a 6th day. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova accused Kiev of intimidating the peaceful population of Russia. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky, who acknowledged the attack for the first time in an address last night. He says that 2,000 cross-border attacks had been launched by Russia from Kursk this summer. Mr. Joe Biden has said that it was his obligation to the country to drop out of the 2024 presidential election and prevent what he says will be a genuine danger to American security if Mr. Donald Trump won a second term in office. The U.S. president gave his reasoning for stepping aside in, at times, an emotional interview with CBS News on Sunday, his first since quitting the race in July. Well, he explains that losing the confidence of senior House and senior Democrats who feared his unpopularity would hurt them at the polls in November had weighed on his mind. Ultimately, Mr. Biden said that it was a combination of circumstances that led him to make this decision. And the main news again. The SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the president to probe the $1.5 billion World Bank loan to the 36 states and the FCT. The body is also asking the Attorney General of the Federation to investigate the alleged mismanagement of $3.12 billion Chinese loan to the federal government. And after weeks of intense competition among 205 delegations, the 2024 Olympics has ended in the French capital, Paris, with the organizers handing over the Olympic flag to the 2028 host, Los Angeles, in the United States. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful week ahead. Good night.